Hello, my friends. I am in the beautiful Aspen Grove, right up from Wild West Mustang Ranch in Utah. I'm actually in the middle of Pando, and if you Google that, you would see that it is the largest living organism on this planet, is what I've heard. This is the largest aspen grove in the world. It goes for miles and miles and miles, and it's just so beautiful. And so I wanted to come out here today and make this video for you. This month I have a lesson for you. It's called the need trap, and I want to tell you about that. You know, why I came up with that name and why I feel like this lesson's really important. It's more about, coming up with our soul roadmaps. And it's a foundational lesson for coming up with your roadmaps, for rewriting your stories, your past stories, your present stories, your future stories. I came to this conclusion after all my studies with neuroscience and quantum physics and, all the stuff I love, psychology, but also just my own experiences. And I've really been studying the science of fear and how much it keeps us from the life that we really want to be living. Even way back in ancient times, there's so many, ancient texts, sacred texts that talk about, living without fear. Don't be afraid. Have no fear. And it's not just about, it's so much more layered than we think it is, because it doesn't feel good to be afraid. And I guess you could say it's not, it doesn't really seem like you're acting in faith when you're behaving like you're afraid. But there's so much more to it than that. And it's the way our body operates and the way our body and our brain and the chemicals in our body, the way they respond when we have fear. It's probably the most damaging thing to our life experience, to live in fear. And so I've really been studying that because I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. And of course I want to share that with all of you. And this whole new curriculum that I'm writing about your soul roadmaps. I wonder, from my own experience and from the experience of so many people that I worked with, what it is that keeps you from doing not just what you want to do, but what you feel called to do and what you feel like you're here to do. And it's often rooted in fear, but then from there, how do you get to what you're fundamentally afraid of? Because I think so much of it is subconscious, and so much of it we rationalize and we think, oh, well, I should be afraid of that. So, with all that being said, I have been for months really studying this. I'm going to say for years, but for months extensively. And it keeps coming back to this thing we do as a society where we think we need things. I'm not here, lecturing, about, what you want in life and how much stuff you should have and stuff like that. I'm talking a fundamental belief that you might have, that I've had, that I'm working on getting rid of what we actually need. It's okay to have whatever you want. But when it starts becoming something that you believe you need in order to be okay, then all these fears get attached to it. So I created, as part of this Soul Roadmaps curriculum, some tools to help us, first of all, figure out, where we're getting trapped in our needs. And I'm saying needs because if you look at it, what do we actually really need? If it need to be able to be alive and survive. What do we actually need? There are things that we want. There are things that would make things more pleasant, we think. But when you actually tell yourself through your thoughts and your words that you need something, your brain believes you. And it will stop you from moving forward until you have whatever you're telling yourself you need. And so that's one of the things that happens. And then a whole bunch of other stories get built onto that. Like, if I don't ever get that, then I'm never going to have this. And so then you're constantly in this state of fight or flight and neediness, like, this constant state of, I don't have what I need. I don't have what I need. And so it's not a state of peace and calm and gratitude and joy and, abundance, and that keeps you from being able to appreciate everything that's all around you. I have been kind of just observing people, myself included, but people that I know and people that I don't know, and just the way people are operating in the world and the messages that we're getting all the time. And I'm seeing so much of people gathering things, and not like stopping and looking at what they already have. And then, again, this isn't about, me making a judgment about stuff or about, what we decide to invest our money and time and everything in. It's about missing out on everything that life has for us already. And so, these lessons and projects that I have for you, it's pretty extensive. It's a pretty extensive packet this month because I've been diving so deep in this. And there's facets of it that are that incorporate several different neuroscience and psychological and just aesthetic tools that I know work. So first of all, I'm gonna run you through some journaling prompts and some worksheets so that you can just kind of start thinking about this. And then after that, I have a bunch of cut and paste stuff so you can actually tell yourself, a story that's actually going to help you to have what you actually want. But first, you have to figure out what you actually want. And I'll tell you more when I'm showing you the worksheets. But what I've learned, and I know you've learned this too, and I think we just sometimes forget it because we definitely don't get taught this in our, addicted to consumerism society that's always wanting us to buy something else. Often we think that we want this thing, or we want this person to do this thing, or we want this thing to stop so that we can have what we actually want. So let's say, I think I have to have all of my debt paid off before I can have a home, have my own home again. And I want a home because then I'll feel like I have, a place for my children to come and visit, and I'll have some security. And the worksheets that I'm going to work you through are taking you through this process of, I've been telling myself this story, and you might not even realize how many of these stories you've been telling yourself, that as soon as I have this, because I need this, as soon as I have this thing I need, then I'll be able to have the thing I really want. But then you got to go a level further, because then you're going to ask yourself, that thing that I really want, I need so that I can feel like this. And I need to feel like that so that I can feel like this. And so you go down as far as you can until there's no more answers, because there are pretty consistent human answers that we all share. And we think that there's only a few ways to get to those things, to get to a feeling of security and peace and feeling loved and feeling like our life has purpose and feeling like we are, being a good mother or a good grandmother, and that goes to so that I can feel at peace. And in the end, it all ends up, the answer is so that I'm okay, so that I know that I'm okay, and I know that I'm going to be okay, because that's really in the end what the very back of our subconscious is wondering is this okay? Am I safe? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay without this? And I need this so that I have this, so that I have this, so that I have this. And I know I'm kind of talking in vague terms a little bit, but I wanted to set this up a little bit before I take you through the worksheets. first I'm going to tell you how this has changed my life. You know, I don't know if you've been with me for a long time, you know that I had a pretty big life, you know, let's say 4 years ago. Okay. Cause I gave away or sold almost everything I owned 3 years ago. And my husband and I got into an RV and we took off, and we had a storage unit full of family photos and, you know, other mementos and a few, you know, our tools and art supplies and things like that. But almost everything else, all of our furniture, everything, you know, all of our dishes, most of my clothing. And that was a really big life change. And a lot of it I felt like was, for lack of a better word, like forced on me because of, you know, what happened in our life. But as I look back, you know, I was just listening to one of my teacher's lectures, and he was saying that, you know, wherever you are, your soul probably wanted to be there, you know, probably got you there so that you could get to the next place where you needed to be. And, you know, now I'm 3 years outside of having my beautiful home and my retreat center and my beautiful yard and all my beautiful clothes and dishes and, you know, bedrooms for my children to stay in and, you know, just places to gather people. I'm 3 years out of having that. And I can honestly say, and I know it's going to sound so cliche, that I've never felt more free. And that's what I want for you. And by free, I mean that when we tell ourselves all these stories about what we need to be able to be okay, all those stories become prisons and they keep us from being able to move forward. Because when we tell ourselves, I need this to be able to be okay, I need this to be able to move forward, I need this for whatever, like I said, our brain believes us in it and it puts up blocks. And what I realized is we really don't need much at all. We need shelter and we need food and we need water and we need connection with human beings. And that's really what we need to be okay. There's a lot of things that make life better and more pleasant and more comfortable and more joyful. But I'm just going to tell you, just from my own experience, that I can't believe how much I thought I needed and how much I actually didn't need, and how much of the massive amounts of things that I thought I needed were actually holding me back. Instead of, you know, now, you know, I think that not just the physical things were holding me back, you know, just the amount of things I was managing and paying for and storing and dusting and moving and, you know, just keeping track of, you know, just physical things, but also just the beliefs that, you know, those were things that I needed to be a valuable person, to be an okay person, and then that moves on to, I won't survive without it. You know, there are things that, all of this boils down to fear, because then we start having these massive amounts of fear that if I lost all these things that I've spent all my life gathering, you know, you might, you get to the place where you have everything you need, you know, all these things you've been listing out that you needed. And then what happens is you start being terrified that you're going to lose those things, and you're not any better off than you were when you were thinking that you needed those things. I see it all over the place, especially with the way the world is right now. You know, people are afraid of losing their money and their homes and their jobs and their savings. And I'm lucky because that already happened to me. And I know that I'm okay, and I know that you're going to be okay. But the place that this has left me is a totally blank slate where I get to decide what I want. And the exercises I'm going to take you through are really, I'm going to take you through what you think you need and why you think you need that and why you think you need that. And in the end, you're going to see that what you really want is just the things that you value, the feelings that you value, the values that you value. And there's all sorts of cut and paste journaling tools so that you can start cutting those things out. And I just want you to have the freedom to think about things in a different way, and to just even be open to the possibility that the things that you might be believing that you need right now are just a great big trap that's keeping you from being free. That's what I most want. I want you to be free. I now that I've, experienced the kind of life that I'm living after being so trapped and chained and, they call belongings trappings for a reason, and so obligated and so covered up and possessed by my possessions. Now that I have experienced that, I can't even fathom going back to that life of that need trap, and I want you to be free of it. Maybe you're not in it. Maybe there's just a few things. Maybe there's a lot of things. I don't want you to feel any shame about it. What I'm going to tell you is that it was all over me. I mean, I could show you pictures of all the things I used to have and all the things that I thought I needed to be a valuable person or to be okay, or to, make sure my children, were proud to have me as a mother, or my whatever I was trying to prove. I don't even know what it was. I look back and I just think, wow, how does that happen? And then I look around and I see other people just under the weight of what they think they need to be valuable and to be okay. So that's what we're going to talk about in this lesson, is the need trap. And so I'm going to take you through using all these worksheets I made, just like the first lesson with the belief cards, with the writing your new story cards. You just take a piece of 8 by 10 chipboard and put that in quarters. That's the sizes that I made all the cards, and we're just going to make some cards that say words that our brain believes. Because when we tell our brain that we need things, this is hard science, this is neuroscience. We tell our brain and our body that we need things, it believes us. And so it feels like it's in need all the time. And that creates feelings of fear and lack. And that we better get busy gathering all these things that we need. When we see that what we actually really want, going through that process of, in the end, actually all I wanted was just to feel peace. We're going to make little cards that say words like, there's peace for me here. Peace exists for me here. Or there is abundance for me here. We're going to say it in the present. And I want you to start talking to yourself in that way. Because there might not be the Jeep Rubicon that you want, that you think you need. But when you think about, why do I want a Jeep Rubicon? Okay, in the end, it's because I want to have adventure and I want to have experiences. What we're going to say and what we're going to create in a journal or on cards are words like, there is adventure for me here. There are great experiences for me here. Because it doesn't have to be in the Jeep Rubicon. It can be on foot in a forest on the side of the road, like where I am right now. And your body is going to make the exact same chemicals as if you were in a Jeep Rubicon. And you're going to have just as beautiful core memories. And you're going to feel just as fulfilled and at peace as if it would have happened the way that you put it on your dream board and thought you needed to have things happen a certain way so that you could have adventure and so that you could have experiences. We're just going to go to the end of what you actually wanted. Adventure and experiences and peace and belonging and community. There's so many ways to get the things that we really, really want. And to tell ourselves that we already have those things, that they already exist for us here. And so that's really the language I want you to use in this lesson of the need trap, is looking around and seeing that what you really want at the core of the core of the core of this beautiful soul that you are, that it already exists for you. And that if you don't have to wait for this thing that you need to be able to someday get that. You can start experiencing those things that you really want right now while you're working toward the things on your dream board, the things that you thought you needed. What I have found is I value freedom so much that almost all the things that I used to think I used to need, I don't really want anymore, because, a lot of those things come with a big payment or a big sacrifice, and I would rather have experiences, and I would rather have peace, and I would rather spend my resources in different ways, because I've already started having experiences and having adventure and having peace and having community in ways that were already right in front of me, that my body and my mind and my heart isn't so focused on saying I need this to be able to move forward. Because once I see that I already have it, it just wants to go experience more of it. It's not saying I need anything, you know. I think I'm down to my last few things, the last few things that I can still hear my brain saying that I need. And that feels really, really good, because what happens when you start telling yourself the truth and noticing what's around you and doing the work to figure out what you actually want, when you thought it was that thing that you thought you needed, when you figure out, you know, down the line what it was that you actually want, you don't have any fears anymore. I can't tell you the exquisite freedom. You know, freedom is probably the thing that matters to me more than anything. And I've learned that to have true freedom, you have to just let go of all your fears. And to let go of all your fears, you have to realize that you don't need anything. You know, you don't really need anything to be able to have the life to be the person that you want to be. It's just this trap that got sold to us, that we need this to be able to move forward. And so that's what I'm telling you. I'm trying to help us all get to a place, just another tool to use in your tool bag, where you can just drop your fears, because living without fear is the most exquisite feeling ever. You know, living without the fear that you're going to lose something, or the fear that somebody's going to be able to control you, or, you know, there's so many things that come attached with the things that we invest our money and time in this world that do trap us. And when you can let yourself know that you'll be okay without any of those things that trap you, you feel free. And, you know, if somebody would have given me this speech, you know, 5 years ago even, I would have been like, man, what is she smoking? Or did she, like, you know, did she have a near-death experience? Like, what? I can't imagine getting to that place where I just don't really want anything, and I just feel free, and I'm not scared of anything. Like, I just would have thought there's no way that could happen. But it all came from questioning myself about that need word, you know, really questioning myself and deciding that it's worth whatever it takes to be able to be on my own soul road and to feel free to be there. And I'm telling you, I want that for you more than anything, is for you to feel free. So we'll go in now, and I will just show you these worksheets and these collage sheets, and we'll get to work on those. I love you so much. Mwah.